All right, I think we are ready to get going here. So first, welcome everyone. It's actually our first webinar we're doing of the new year, so excited about that. I'm your host, Mark Wilson. I'll get into that in a minute here. A couple of housekeeping things first. If you've ever listened to our WrenchWay webinars, you'll be familiar with these, but it's always good to start. First, make sure you're in the right place. 7 common frustrations in the industry and how to improve them. That's the topic we're going to be going through today. We're scheduled for an hour. I don't think we'll last the whole hour, but we'll see depending on Q&A. I always leave more than enough time for that. So we'll probably get out a few minutes early. Again, a couple of housekeeping things. You've all used Zoom before, I'm guessing, but one thing that trips people up a little is chat versus Q&A. Feel free to chat during the presentation. Sometimes that's where the gold is. We have a lot of great conversations that happen there. Because I'm doing this presentation solo, it is hard to keep up with the chat. I can't promise. In fact, I probably won't see the chat during the session itself, but I definitely will see the Q&A part. So feel free to chat about anything I say, laugh at me, do whatever you want. But if you want to get my attention and something that I'll bring up in front of the whole group, that's where you'll hit the Q&A area. I for sure will save those until the end. Again, it's just kind of easier. We have a couple hundred people likely to be on throughout this. So I get off track easy if I try to jump in too much to the Q&A. So again, plenty of time at the end, but I would encourage you to post your challenge or your questions during the presentation. Don't wait for the end for that. All right, so quick introduction. I'm Mark Wilson, co-founder and CEO here at WrenchWay. I'm guessing since you're here, you all know what WrenchWay is, but if not, our whole mission is to promote and improve technician careers. I, to be honest, used to kind of roll my eyes at some of the mission-based companies, but we live and breathe it. We are definitely all in on improving technician careers and promoting them and showing the world that this can be lucrative, but yet there are things that need to change and improve on it. We have a lot of solutions geared around that mission. We work with shops, we work with schools, and we work with technicians. Some of our solutions are listed there. Go out to WrenchWay, check it out. In addition to the product solutions we do a lot of events like this, some webinars like I'm doing now where it's just me. Otherwise, we do a ton of roundtables. We bring in industry experts. We bring in technicians themselves. We conduct a lot of surveys, and then we share that data with our network. And then we work with over 1,000 shops and close to 500 schools now. So we get to see a lot of information. I always say we probably, as it relates specifically to technician careers, I bet we talk with more people than any other company in the country. So we get to see a lot of data, hear a lot of stories. From that, we create awesome guides and best practices that we share with our network. This session, again, we're talking about 7 frustrations in the industry. It's not meant to, nor will it be a commercial for WrenchWay. That being said, some of the examples, I will share some of our product solutions. I mean, we only build stuff based on what we're hearing or requests or things we see in the market that need correcting or need to be a better way, need some efficiencies. So naturally, it makes sense to show that. Again, I'll try to not make it salesy at all, though. We want this to be industry focused, but just forewarned on that a little bit. So let's dive right into this. The first one, don't worry about reading this on the right. I know it's probably too small. I'm going to summarize it. I actually swapped out this screen because I just saw relatively recently this post on LinkedIn by a technician that we interact quite a bit with. Russell Wickman's his name, or Wickham. So the first frustration is just lack of transparency. And again, don't worry about reading this on the right. In summary, he's kind of calling out and challenging service managers and saying that $100,000 job you're posting or $150,000, whatever it is, just because someone could get that in a perfect world, are they actually getting it? If I apply to your job, how do I know I'm not the one stuck with all warranty work that your shop might not pay as much for? He also talks a lot in here about showing pictures. I want to know more about your shop. All job descriptions look the same. I loved this when he posted it. He got a lot of great comments on it. If you don't follow him already, I think he's a great follow. He says a lot of things that technicians are probably thinking. He's just maybe not as afraid to say it, but it's great insight for others in the industry. So this one particular, I just grabbed a quick screenshot because I thought it kind of highlighted what I'm talking about and lack of transparency. To get a little more specific, what we hear all the time from technicians is their frustration with when they see a job posting. First, it may not have pay listed at all. The days of getting away with that are long gone. I mean, some states, I think it's over 15 now, require you to post salary or wages within your job postings. Even the ones that don't, more and more will follow suit. But it's just good practice. Again, pretty much everybody's hiring. If you're not posting at least a range of what you're paying, and there's 35 other companies within 20 miles of me that are hiring, or maybe more, probably going to scroll right by your job posting. So you at least have to post a range. It can't be such a wide range that you might as well not even post it at all. I see all the time 30,000 to 150,000. Like, what? Come on, you can get a little better than that. Or even unrealistic ranges. Some post, 150, 200,000, 250 I've seen in some big cities. Maybe that's true, but you better be following that up with some explanation of that it's actually believable, because most humans in general, but I think especially technicians, are pretty skeptical. So if you put these ranges out there, you better be able to back it up and not wait till they come in for an interview to back it up. They're probably not going to apply if they think it's not realistic anyway. Along that second bullet point, pay plans are all different for all different shops. I have a whole bullet on pay, so I'm not going to get into a ton of detail on that, but that's a frustration. Just job postings all looking the same. Everyone, yeah, we got great culture. We family run, all the things. We offer training. Those are solid. You should mention them, but be realistic. Look at every other post and try to make yourself different and realize that you can't just post everything that everyone else is doing. In general, people get frustrated, especially it's now 2023, not being able to see photos, see videos. Russell in the post on the right towards the bottom talks about wanting to be able to see the lighting, the equipment, things like that. And then no easy way to learn more without officially applying. It's not an employer's market right now. And for technicians, it may never be again, unfortunately. Hopefully we get there. But technicians have the power, and the expectation is if you think I'm going to take off work to come in to find out more information, you should be either telling me more information up front or give me an easy way to reach out to you that doesn't require me to take a half a day off of work or jump through a bunch of application and hiring hoops. So to get specific, so again, today we're talking about frustrations, but then also what you can do about it. This is one of those where I'm talking about WrenchWay. Again, it's a big part of our product. A lot of what I'm saying though, I think it's easier, cheaper, better to use WrenchWay, but some of these things you can take away and use on your own. So first one, include something on your website. And when I say something, I don't mean a career page that has a paragraph of how you've been in business since 1945. It needs to have details. Studies show that almost 70% of people before they apply, I don't care if they find you on Indeed, on Facebook, anywhere else, on WrenchWay, anywhere, if you or most people are going to click onto your website and or your social media and see what else they can find out before they'll actually apply. So if they're going there, you need and want to give them information that's going to help get them to apply and show information. So I always talk about our pages. Again, you can't see over here. We create what we call top shop pages. We kind of mirror it off Zillow a little bit. If I'm selling a house, or more importantly, if I'm buying a house, I'm not going to respond to an ad in the paper, built in 1998, 3 bedrooms, 3,200 square feet. I want to see photos. I want to see a layout of the floor plan. I want to know what the taxes are. I want to see kind of the backyard, all of that type of stuff. So that's what we're creating at WrenchWay. That's what, if you don't want to use WrenchWay, you need something like that on your site, showing photos of the shop, the lighting, the equipment you have. Keep in mind, not every place is going to be kind of the Taj Mahal of dealerships or shops. That's okay. There's a lot of people that want to work in a smaller environment. They know you're not going to have the latest and greatest of everything, but be honest with it, be authentic, show what you do have and talk about it. So again, photos, videos, getting your team talking. The best thing you can have is other technicians talking about why they like to work there. Don't make those scripted. No one's going to believe those. Everyone's just going to think someone got put up to doing it. We always say document, don't create. Just get real world stuff. If you have a company outing, take a few photos there. Fill that page up with, if someone's celebrating their 20-year anniversary and you brought in cake or whatever, interview that person, show what or have them talk about what they like. Don't feed them a script though, that people will see right through that. Basically show why you're different, be proud of it. And then another bullet point on here that I have is think like a technician, like Russell in that previous post. Just because you post that I can make 150,000 there, most technicians are probably going to be skeptical of that if that's actually true. So if it is true, find a way to talk about how 3 of your techs hit that mark last year, or 2 people are on track for it, or 1 person increased their pay from 70,000 and now they're at 110,000. You don't have to name names or anything like that, but it's more believable if you can be specific. And so don't just check the box of, now I have to list the salary range, so I'm going to list a really wide one or an unbelievable one. That's doing you no favors. Think like a tech. If you're not a tech, or if you never were a tech, go ask your team what they would want to see and what they say when a friend asks them why they still work there. And then lastly, give them an easy way to find out more information. Realistically, you can't put everything in a job description. Some stuff you might not want floating around publicly, but give them a way to ask questions. At a minimum, do a phone screen before you ask them to come in for an interview. But one of the things we're doing at WrenchWay is we're allowing people for any of our top shops to send a message, and they know it'll go right to the right person there. So it's not this blank contact us form on a site that maybe someone will respond to me, maybe not. We'll be holding shops accountable to respond. So if you do have specific questions, you can chat back and forth. It might not be live chat right this second, but within a reasonable amount of time, people will respond. You can have a whole conversation and know the details. So for instance, I saw that, we'll use Russell's example. I saw I can make up to 100,000. Can you tell me how that works? In the past, I've had shops tell me that. I'm a little skeptical. Do you actually have people making that? And his question was around warranty. Let him ask those questions. Don't say, well, once you apply and come in, you'll find out. Because guess what? They're probably going to go somewhere else if that happens. So that's the first one. Just be transparent. Technicians have choices. You have to find a way to stand out. Today's day and age, people want to and expect to find out information, not proprietary information. We're not releasing your sales numbers or a list of names and exactly what every technician makes for money. But there are ways that you can be a lot more transparent than you are right now. Take an honest look at your job postings and your website to see if you're really not only attracting technicians, but if someone's already interested, if they go to your site, are you doing anything to get them to that next step? All right, moving on. Number 2. So entry level pay and then expectations for tools. So again, hold off on reading this whole one. Sorry for all the text. What I'm talking about here, common sense, entry level pay. And not only in our field do techs not make a lot at first, and that's okay. They shouldn't be, no one's going to make 100,000 out of the gate or anywhere close to it. And that's not going to be true in any other profession either, or very, very few. But not only that, compared to other trades, we have to buy tools a lot of times. So keep that in mind. We do, I mentioned at the beginning, events. One of the events we had at Techmission this year, we interviewed 3 different technicians, and then Jay, my co-founder, those are the people in the image here. And we were talking to them, what do they actually care about? What do they kind of, whatever that gets offered, but no one really pays attention. And the guy on the bottom left, Zach is his name. He's still a student. He's just starting. He works, I think, part-time at a shop. But he was talking about how much the students all talk and share information. And they had a student who had been there part-time 2 years, was making less than if he could be a bagger at Walmart. Nothing wrong with that, working at Walmart, but I'm saying if you're doing this and if it really is a professional career, you should definitely be making more money than that. So those kids, the students, they talked, and a different person was, well, my shop, I get this, and they're hiring and they'd love to hire you. A week later, he moved on and he went there. Another kind of anecdote, this one's very recent for me. I was talking to a shop and someone in management, and they were saying how they start people at, I think it was 12 or 12.50 an hour, and he was very proud of that. And he was about my age, maybe a couple years older, but he started in the late 90s. And he said he would have loved to get 12.50 an hour. Guess what? The late 90s, as bad as it sucks, and it's weird to say, that was 25 years ago. Things change, competition exists. We have to adapt, and you may think that's a great starting wage, but realistically, it's not. I hate to say it, and I'm not saying you should pay these people $100 an hour, but $12.50, that's probably not going to get it done. I can't say what will get it done because every place in the country is a little different. Most places, though, that's just not going to do it. And so as we look at how we fix that, the image I showed on the right, we're in Wisconsin here. Quick Trip is a convenience store chain. I saw this yesterday morning. I couldn't find online the exact image I wanted, but when I walked in after getting gas, they had a sign on the door, cashiers were starting at 15 bucks an hour. So I wanted to find that sign. This one's kind of similar though. But when you're talking entry level, it's not just competition with other shops or even other trades. It's where else can they make money. 100 extra bucks a week or whatever it is means a lot when you're just starting out, and especially when you have to buy tools. So when you're looking at, is your pay realistic? Talk to your people, see what else is out there for other shops, but compare it to other jobs that they could get at that entry level skill set. And it doesn't have to be the Quick Trips of the world, Walmart, things like that, warehouse jobs. You have to be realistic on this. And so that is a frustration that I think you can do something about. I know everyone listening can't 100% control what they pay, but you can control if you go to management and you state your case and you back it up with research and how you're losing out on people because this just isn't a livable wage and a fair way to start out. So that's number one, get your pay in order for your entry level people. Number two, show a career path. This, if we would have had another, 8 frustrations, I probably could make a whole one on just a career path. Very common thing we hear, especially from younger technicians, is pay's always number one of any age we talk about. But number two for the younger ones especially is there a career path? Is that well-defined? Where am I going to be at in 5 years? Where am I going to be at in 10 years? I know it's not going to be handed to me, but lay out steps of how they get there. You're not promising them after 3 years you'll be promoted and make this, but tell them exactly what they need to do to get on that path. It's not that hard. We come out with checklists and things like that. That's just an area we're working on beefing that up right now. But it's not that hard to document how I go from making $18 to 25, or how I go from entry-level tech to a B tech, then an A tech. Those are things that you may not have them documented now, but you can write that stuff down, and it doesn't need to be these formal documents, but your entry-level techs are going to want to see that. And then lastly, factor in what other costs do these kids have, or these younger people, or maybe not even the younger people, making career changes. Can you help with tools? A lot of our clients now offer a starter kit, which is awesome, that they can buy and kind of delay some of those costs, and then they can build to it later. There are a lot of great programs we work with. Sonic Tools is one that has a great program for that. Not just cost of tools, but can you help with their cost of school, whether they're in school now or they have a bunch of debt that they're paying off. It's not as much as a 4-year, but it's still probably debt that they have. This isn't just charity giving out the money. This is such a perfect way to help lock people in to stay 3, 4, 5 years. We've seen countless examples of this, and we'll see even more, I think, going into next year, of saying, all right, I will pay for your school, or I will $10,000 in tools, or whatever the dollar amount is, $5,000 to spend on whatever you want, or 20,000 to ship them to a Wildtech or something like that. You come up with the money. But if you tie that to, we'll do that for you, but if you have to stay 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, it's such an easy, great way to get people committed and have them show that you care. Keep Financial is one I have listed here. That's a partner of ours. They take care of all the legal work of doing that. So if you do that with someone and they leave after 6 months, they make sure you have proper legal documentation in place. They help make sure you are able to collect that money and get paid back on it. There's just no excuse to not at least consider something like this if you kind of want to grow your own and create or bring in more entry-level technicians. Over the course of that 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, it pays for itself. Jay and I were at a shop yesterday, and they were talking about doing a significant amount of money, but then they were saying, if it was $10,000, it would be 2 months probably, and they think they'd get that paid back. And they were tying people to stay 4 years. So again, you can do something about that. Your boss, your owner might not approve it, but if you're on a webinar like this, it's your job to say, all right, if we were going to do it, here's what it would look like. Here's how much it would cost. Here's how we protect ourselves. Those are things we can help at WrenchWay. You can talk to us, you can talk to Keep Financial, but don't give me that excuse of management will never go for that. You have to state your case and help prove it. And they might not go for everything, but at least give it a good effort. All right, moving on. Checking the time here so I don't get going too much. This one might be a little longer as well, and then I think the last 3 or 4 will be pretty quick. So don't shoot the messenger on this one. Pay is the most common talked about thing in our industry, and within pay, it's flat rate. So you can see on the right-hand side, again, that might be small on some of your screens, but we asked our network, what is your ideal pay structure? Traditional flat rate, 15%. Majority of people we talk to, not even just surveys, just interviewing technicians, some love it. The majority hate it though. And I think they hate parts of it more than I think they hate all of it. Because traditionally, I think shops have used it to kind of take advantage of technicians. Again, don't shoot the messenger on this. This is just kind of me speaking as someone relatively new to the industry. When I first heard that technicians, if there wasn't work for them, they might not get paid, I could hardly believe it. It's not a technician's job to bring in new business. There are sales people out there that they're 100% commission. That's fine. They can hunt what they eat. They can go out and get it. Most technicians, that's not what you're asking them to do. It's your job to bring in the business. So even if you do use flat rate, which I think there are a lot of modified flat rate plans out there that are awesome, you at least should have some sort of guarantee. We have some clients, one of our best clients, they refuse to call it a guarantee, but it basically is. My point is though, whatever you call your pay structure, look at it and see, is it fair? I wrote this as unpopular pay structures. Sometimes I think they're unfair pay structures. And I think we fall into the trap of what I always say is the most dangerous 6 words in business. That's how we've always done it. And it's not getting questioned. And just because you used to do it that way doesn't mean that's how it should be done now. So the second bullet on here is ask your technicians about frustrations and see if there are any you can fix. Again, we had another client, they asked their frustration, or they asked their technicians, there's a big priority of theirs to get ASE certifications. And the technicians weren't taking the test and doing a lot of it. And really 2 things came up. Number one, it wasn't helping them any. I mean, it helps their long-term career, and some people see that, but most people want to see that immediate benefit. And so the company then looked at it and said, all right, if you get to this level, that means this much more pay. If you get to this level, that means that much more pay. It honestly wasn't anything new. It was stuff they informally were doing already. They just didn't have it laid out and the technicians didn't know that existed. So that was number one. Number two, it's a fair amount of money to take those tests. So this company started paying whether you pass or not. And the fear is, well, people will take the test, get reimbursed, and then our pass rates will go way down. They saw the opposite. There was no drop in it at all. If someone's going to sign up for it and take the time to study, they're not making any money unless they pass. So that incentive is still there, but at least you take away that money that they have to shell out. And then if they don't pass, they're stuck with it. I'm not saying you have to do that one, nor should you. That's for you to decide. The point is, ask your technicians, are there things about our pay plan that frustrate you? Another common example I had on here is about mentoring. There are shops that had poor reputations of not bringing along that next generation. Well, if it was strictly flat rate, a lot of the older guys didn't want to spend time mentoring because it meant they're not making as much money. So the good shops are realizing that, and they're compensating people properly for mentoring. Another just quick example is a company told us how their techs were frustrated that, I forget I think it was tire rotations or something that was a part of a basic offering they had. Sometimes the tech got paid for it, sometimes they didn't. And that was a choice they made at the shop level, but they just decided, you know what, we're going to pay you regardless of those, whether it gets charged or not. Your job is the same either way. The techs loved it. Again, you don't have to do that. You can tie it to what you charge your customers. I'm not here to say what the proper pay plan should be, but involve your technicians. Find out what parts of it make them mad, what parts maybe they don't understand, and then you might be able to fix one or two of them. You probably can't fix all of them. And frankly, people are always going to want more, but they want to be heard, they want to be listened to, and they want to understand why things are a certain way. So I think this is a huge opportunity to help with recruiting and retention, is just to modify your pay plans a little bit, not overhaul. I'm not saying you got to now pay everybody 6 figures or anything like that. But I bet if you really asked them and broke it down, I bet there'd be a couple things you could add that probably don't move the needle a huge amount on your company's bottom line, but make a world of difference to your employees. And then the second to last bullet point on here, in talking with a lot of shops and dealers, again, we work with over 1,000 now. A lot of you guys have awesome plans that you don't highlight at all. I had someone say, well, they do warranty a little different because they did what we're saying. Technicians told them they hated it, so they came up with this route instead. And then I looked at their website, I looked at their Top Shop page, and guess what? It was nowhere on there. You didn't make that change because you were bored and you didn't have anything to do and you just wanted to spend a little money. You made it because technicians asked for it and you thought it was fair and you thought it would help you. And now when I look at your compensation area, all you're saying is your pay range. If you have a guarantee, talk about that. If you pay for these extra things, talk about that. There's so much in our industry that people do a great job and they have made all these changes, but you would never know it as an outsider. And then you wonder why people aren't applying for your jobs. That's a main reason why. All right, last bullet on here. I've seen this one quite a few times from technicians and forums and things like that. This belief that you can only make real money if you hop from one job to another. That's not true, or not only true in our industry. I started as a CPA. I've owned a software company. I've worked in different industries besides this. Every place I've ever worked, that's what people think. And because a lot of times that's how it is in companies, that is something that I would challenge you to change within your company. We did one of our technician roundtables. We had someone in management from Asbury, a great client of ours. And the way they looked at it, I thought was really unique and how everybody should look at it. They went through kind of the roster and said, all right, if so-and-so leaves, what would we pay to replace them? So if one of our better techs or average techs or whatever, I'll make up a dollar amount. If this person is making $30 an hour right now, but the amount of work they're doing, and it would be painful to replace them. If they left tomorrow and I had to hire someone new, I'd probably pay $40 or $35 or whatever it is, because I know I need that person. Well, why aren't you paying that person now? That's the mindset you have to have. If you think your people don't know that they're underpaid, you're in a dream world. They definitely know. They know what other shops are offering. If you treat them well, they're probably not looking, but if you're not paying them what their replacement cost would be, in my opinion, you're not treating them well. So I would challenge you to look at that exercise, go through your text and saying, all right, if this person left, what would we pay someone at that level? And if there's a gap there, you have to find a way to get them up to the right amount. If you don't, I bet it's going to happen within the next year or two anyway, and they're going to find out they can go somewhere else. All right, number 4 of 7 here. Again, the rest of these I think should go a little quicker, and we'll have plenty of time for questions. But a frustration is shops and schools not working together. If you talk to any instructor at the high school or the post-secondary level, one of the frustrations they have, one of the pet peeves they have, frankly, one of the things that pisses them off the most is when industry will call up right around graduation and say, hey, can you send me your best techs? Who do you have this year? Who'd be a great person for me to hire? In your mind, you think you're helping out and you want to employ them, and that is a good thing, but they have 20 other people asking that same thing, and they need help along the way. Their programs are getting cut. Their funding is getting reduced. They're losing out on instructors. They're covering more classes than they ever have. If you really want them to send you the best students, you can help along the way. We understand though, everyone has the best intentions. Hopefully if you're in industry and you're listening, you want to help. And in instructors, they want to work with industry. The problem is everyone is so dang busy. Right now, shops, if you're a service manager, if you're in HR or whoever you are listening to this, you have a million things going on. You want to go to your local high schools, but it keeps getting pushed off on the back burner. Same thing with the instructors. When we talk to them, they want to go out and form relationships and get to know more dealers, get to know more independent shops, find out what's happening. They either don't know where to start or they can't make the time for it. So a huge focus of ours going into 2023 is to help with this, to better connect industry with the schools. So this is not a new program for ours. It's been around a couple of years now. It's called School Connect. When we built it, and now we're adding a lot more functionality and features to it, but we looked at it from both sides, from industry, very busy, from instructors, very busy. Yes, it'd be great to have one-on-one relationships with all of them, but you lose emails and your people change jobs and you get busy. So instead, we wanted to create one central platform, free for the schools. They can post anything that they want. So I took a snapshot over here of I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, some in our area. I guess I only have one school shown for a couple, but this school, I know they're going through their ASE certification, so they need some equipment if anyone wants to donate it. But sometimes it's a speaker for a class, it's advisory committee, it's kids that can job shadow. It's, do you have any old tools that you could donate? We had some as small as like shop towels that the school didn't have a budget to get simple towels or a table to use for certain things. So we're going out, finding the schools, we're showing them how to ask for things. And then this way, industry can scroll through and say, well, yeah, I have an old engine that we're not doing anything with that this high school could tear apart and really teach kids on. Or Jim from my office, he would be awesome to go in and speak to a high school class. So anyway, we're connecting. That's the name, School Connect. We're making it easier. If you're interested in one of them, like say I could donate this tire changer, I can click on it. I can send a message. I don't have to go through a gatekeeper or any admin at the schools or get anyone's permission. That message goes right to the instructor, and then I can have a conversation back and forth. Same thing, shops can post stuff that they have. Hey, we had one last year, I have 2 diesel engines that we have no need for it. Does anyone want them? And schools scoop those up right away. So School Connect, free for schools. It's part of our paid program for shops, but it's a great way to get shops and schools working together and to help kind of that frustration of schools. Not only are they getting their funding cut, but it's harder and harder for them to get industry to help at all. We have a big goal. We're pushing to get to 1,000 schools. So even if you never use WrenchWay products on here, if you have some schools that could need some help, send them our way. My contact information will be coming at the end. That's a huge focus for us going forward. Another one, this one, a frustration. I thought about leaving this one off because I wanted to keep these as actionable items. And this one is so big and it seems so daunting of the public perception of our industry and our, more specifically, the career of being a technician. And I thought, you know what? It is not daunting. Everybody can do their part. So first, let's start with the problem, the frustration. Most people have no idea, one, that how lucrative this job can be, this career can be, two, how complicated it is, and how knowledgeable technicians need to be, and how it's ongoing and training. I think that's exciting. The right people want to be challenged, so that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But the public, you see what you saw in the movies. You got this goofy cartoon here on the right, and back in the day, high schools would push kids, you know, maybe if they weren't ready for a 4-year school, so send them to a trade school. The good thing is that's changing a little. It needs to change a lot more, though. This is a very respectable field, complicated, just as important, actually probably more important than most other degrees that are 4-year degrees that are out there. I'm not crapping on 4-year colleges or anything like that, but I'm saying not everybody has to go to a 4-year and you can do very well. You guys listening, you all know this, so I'm not saying anything you don't understand. Before I go to the solutions to this, though, the last one on here, it's hurting our business too. Customers don't understand why you need to charge the rates you have and things like that. The more the public understands, cars are so complicated these days, and it's not as simple as it used to be. And you're not only paying for my time to do it, but the knowledge that it took 10, 15 years to build up in the skill set. The more we can educate the world, not only does it get more kids interested in it, but it helps with those customer conversations of why do you have to charge so much for this? Because people just don't understand how much skill, time, and effort and equipment expense goes into it. So solutions, again, this looks daunting at first. No one on this call, all of us, if we band together, we're not going to solve it overnight. But guess what? We can help in our own little way. So I would challenge you on your Facebook pages, on any social media you do, promote your technician careers, promote how awesome your team is, promote, when I say promote, I don't mean like a job promotion. I shout it to the world. Talk about the training you just did, or show off that today's cars have X number of computers. Just do everything you can to talk about this and educate the public. But it also has benefits to your team. Your team is going to love seeing that. They want respect. They're proud of this. They probably went to school for it. They've spent years in this. They want to have, they're humans. They want recognition. Some people don't want to be called out by name, but they want the world to know that this is not an easy job and it deserves respect. So you absolutely can do that. Guess what? Customers love that too. They like seeing that you treat people well and that you pay for training and that they're taking their car to somewhere that this person is an expert and they have gotten all the certifications. These are all things that I think we know we need to do more of, but the perception's not going to change unless we all start doing this in our own communities and we push it more and more. The other thing, I mean, again, little selfless plug here for WrenchWay. If you don't know where to get started on this, this is what a majority of our program is. People don't know what they should be posting. We give you templates, we give you ideas, we show you how you can promote the profession, promote your shop, and guess what? That helps with recruiting, that helps with retention. So it's not just the bigger kind of holistic goal, it helps you in your team. Get involved with schools. We kind of covered that already, so I'm going to skip that one. And then show that there is a good career path with this, and it's not, you know, just what we saw in the movies or that cliche stuff. All right, enough with that one. Poor data. This one I get on a soapbox here, and my team here, our team has heard me complain a lot on this image here. And a lot of these overlap too. So this one kind of goes back to helping out schools. This literally, I pulled a screenshot from the Bureau of Labor Statistics this morning. So it's not outdated or anything. You search, this case I did auto technician, median salary, $42,000 a year, $20 an hour. Median, not bottom percent, nothing like that. And again, you make 42,000, that's a respectable career. There's nothing wrong with that. But every shop I know pays their people that have experience a good amount more than that. Most shops I know, the really top guys, the 90% top men and women out there, they're not topping out at $68,000. I don't know where these numbers come from. My guess is they combine everything together. Again, there's nothing wrong with like the Jiffy Lubes of the world and things like that do pay a lower amount, and the skill set required for some parts of those jobs are lower. But because they're lumping everything together, and if I'm a parent of a kid who wants to go do this, and he wants to be in the trades, or she wants to be in the trades, and I see an electrician, the average is 80,000 or whatever it is, and then I see 42,000 for this, I'm going to steer my kid the other direction. So we have to get and share better data than is out there. Part of that is, like I said, on our Top Shop pages, we have all the shops share what A-level techs can make, what B-level, what C-level. We need to share that information with schools. We need parents to see that information. At WrenchWay, we do profiles on technicians. You can see all the stats in the world here, but most people, I think that's the right side of your brain is stats and numbers. The left side is stories and anecdotes. That's why we want to have spotlights on technicians and show this person's 15 years in and they, support their family on this and they're making $92,000 a year and they love their job. We need to be sharing more of those stories anecdotally. But there's also a fundamental problem, not just with data of what the average people make. Shops tell us or ask us all the time, hey, how much are other people paying? Or what benefits, what percentage of health insurance do they cover? Or in order to pay my people more, I have to raise my rates a little, what I call customers. There's no good way to find out what others are charging. We did at Technician, one of the panels I was on, there's 4 of us, so I could read the chat a little more in that one. And the whole chat was about, well, go here, they have stats. And someone else is like, no, that data sucks. It's outdated, or they blend everything together. There's just no good place to find this data. And especially not just national averages. You want local things. So if it comes to recruiting, I want to know the 40 shops in my area like me, what they're paying, because that's what technicians are comparing it to when they're deciding if they want to work for me. I've yet to find a good source for that data. So we decided going into this year, we're going to try to be that source. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have a big data project coming that's going to rely on surveys from shops, from technicians, honest information. We're not publishing this, so it's not like, or we are sharing the information, but we're not rating shops based on who pays the best or anything like that. We are gathering data, real payroll data from shops to see what they pay A-level, B-level. We're not going to let someone say, all right, in Madison, Zimbrick pays this and another company pays this. We're pulling all that data together and creating reports on it that you can say, all right, a dealership within this radius, we have 20 of them, here's the blended average. So you can't identify specific shops, but you can see that data that we all want of what they charge customers, what they charge, what they pay their people, and then more info to come. It's new for us. We can keep it anonymous. We can verify it. We as an independent third party, I think we're in a great position to be able to do that, but it's still a daunting task. So that's something you'll probably be hearing for us. It's one of those, like, I can't find what I'm looking for, so we're going to try to create it ourselves. All right, last of the frustrations here. This one is a frustration from technicians, but also from me, from our team at WrenchWay. So first I'll start with what this image is. We had 3 great people. These guys do it the right way. 3 of our clients. So at one of our roundtables, they were talking about different things that they do, and it was around recruiting and retention. But Duke, who's on the upper left in this image here, He said it really well. He said, if your number one problem is hiring technicians, I would tell you to ask yourself, how much do you spend on your number one problem? I think what he was saying spend was not just dollars, actually time and effort and money. And if the answer is probably, I'm paraphrasing, if it's not that much, it's not really your number one priority. We hear this all the time from shops. Yes, this year, new year, 2023, this is the year we're going to do a good job recruiting technicians. We're going to care more about retention. We can't have people leaving. Then it gets pushed aside and gets pushed aside and something else comes up. They don't make it a priority. That's my gripe with it. Technicians, same type of thing. They all hear, they know technicians are in short supply. They all hear promises from their shop. Oh, this year we're going to pay more for training for you, or we're going to finally get you that piece of equipment that you've been asking for. And then it falls on deaf ears. It doesn't happen. There's always some excuse. So as far as how we can help with that, stop thinking, stop talking, and start doing. You can't fix all of them overnight, but if you truly make it a priority, you'll start to see results. So the first real tangible suggestion I have, every shop I've ever talked to, every dealership is very numbers focused and has management reports and management meetings. Very few of them in their key metrics talk about hiring, talk about retention, talk about how much time and effort was spent on it. I think part of it is because no one in the organization really owns it. It's partly on the service manager, it's partly on HR if you have HR, partly on marketing, it's partly on the owner, whatever the case is. Make someone responsible for it. Make it a priority. Include it in your monthly report, whatever goal you set. You can't fix what you don't measure. So, and we can help with that too, to find tangible things that you can measure. But stop just saying kind of anecdotally or one-off off-the-cuff comments on you need to do better at finding techs this year, and actually make it a measurable thing that you report on at least monthly. Talk to your technicians. They'll tell you what things can be measured. They'll tell you what things they want to see improved. They'll understand if you can't change them all overnight, but you'll find out good things that can happen. Follow through on your promises. We see that a lot when we talk to technicians and ask why they're looking. Again, pay is usually number one. Career development is usually number two for the younger people, but more experience a lot of times they're sick of being promised things and then it never happens. They're sick of being told this year we're going to send you to training 2 different times and then it doesn't happen. Actually, that goes back to what I was talking about before too. If you do a good job and you actually train your people and you spend money sending them places, that's great content, great things you should document, show that you don't make empty promises, you actually follow through on them. So again, last selfless plug here. This is our whole business. Being part of WrenchWay, not a sales pitch. It's inexpensive solution though. It's a couple $100 a month. If you pay up front for the whole year, it's $150, or it ends up being $150 per month. We have solutions like this. I think if this is all people did and made it part of their monthly reporting and one person was responsible for making improvements instead of it being this kind of gray area, I bet not overnight, but over the next year, we would see dramatic improvements. All right, so kind of recapping some of these, we have 10 minutes left. I did what I always do, said there'd be plenty of time, and then I ramble and talk here. So real quick, lack of transparency. Don't expect people are going to come in and that you'll show them the good stuff. You'll show them the real story once they come in for an interview. You got to get them to the interview. Entry level pay. If you still think 12 bucks an hour is a great starting point, look around. I mean, it's not terrible by any means. It's certainly higher than minimum wage, but there's very few jobs that are paying less than that don't require as much skill set. Unpopular pay structures. Again, I'm not saying flat rate's a devil or get rid of it or anything like that, but there are tweaks you can make that will make your team happy. Talk to your team. I bet you can find out some things that won't break the bank. Work with schools. We're all in a lot of trouble if these programs keep getting cut. You can work with your local high school. Get on WrenchWay. We'll show you all the ones that need help. If your school's not there yet, we'll get them signed up. If you, for whatever reason, don't like WrenchWay, go to your local school and ask what they need help with. Same thing, public perception. We've come a long way. Schools are looking at this more favorably than they used to. The public is kind of starting to get it. Not even close to where we need it to be though. Skilled trades in general, it's been awesome the last couple of years in how much publicity we've gotten, but there's so far to go still. So do your part to help with that. The poor data, again, I've yet to find a good data source for some of these things. So we're trying to do that on our own. If you have some good data sources, I would love to see them. It's not something I wanted to do. It doesn't fit into our core model, but it's like, if nobody else is going to do it, we're going to start aggregating and finding that data. And then don't just talk, don't just attend this. Oh yeah, Mark said a couple things I liked. I disagreed with 5 of them, but I really like 2 of them. I'm going to do it. And then nothing happens. Don't be that person that 6 months from now, or if I do a similar presentation next year, you didn't do anything. The reason I have this image on the right over here, I love small steps. I realize you can't do everything I talked about today overnight. I bet there's 1 or 2 things that not within the next year, within the next week, you could get started on. With it today, I bet there's something that you could at least get started on or start planning or start researching or whatever it is. This image is great. It's a poster I have. I'm one of those guys that likes the cheesy sayings, the cheesy posters, but this one really speaks to me of you never are going to get where you want to go if you don't take that first step and then that second step. And it's, you know, small steps, big results. And that's the way you have to look at this. Instead of saying my boss will never go for that or our company never will, break it down into smaller areas. I bet you'd be surprised of what you can accomplish. All right, enough me talking. There's my info there. Check out WrenchWay if you want to learn more. Email me if you want to find out more. There'll be a recording of this that we'll send. But I think we have 8 minutes or so here. So if there are no questions, we can end early. And Sarah, I don't know if you want to type if there were some things that came up in the chat. I wasn't keeping up with that. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in there now. If not, I'll give it a couple 30 seconds, minute here. But if not, I think we're good to go. Oh, one just came through. All right, so the question was, do you have a sample of defining a technician career path and the requirements to get to that next level? So within WrenchWay, we have a guide section. I believe that's in there, but I don't know if we published it yet because I know we were making some changes on it. So I will get back to you, Karen, who asked about that one. If not, that will be coming soon because that's a very common question that we get. And we also have had webinars on that topic where some of our clients laid out what they do. So I can probably dig up links to those because we record all of our webinars, but great question. And that's something I think everyone should have. And even our template or checklist, I wouldn't follow it to a T when we come up with it, but it'll be a good starting point for you. All right. Another one came through, but I think that was just a comment. It looks like Sarah answered that. So I think that might be it for questions. Thank you for attending today. Hopefully this was at least somewhat useful information. In an hour, you can't dive super deep into a lot of these, but the main summary is default to action. Instead of just thinking, talking, see what small step you can do today, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. With that, I think we will end it, and until our next roundtable, which I don't know if we've scheduled yet, but be looking for that. And again, we'll have a lot more of these going forward. Thanks, everyone.